This is the Twins POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Minnesota Twins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Minnesota Twins snap a 3-game losing streak and also snap an 11-game losing streak to the Atlanta Braves, and they get the victory. 4-2 is your score. This is the Locked On Twins POSTCAST. I'm CJ Baumgartner filling in for Luke Inman today, and hey, here we go. Twins looked just helpless, and they played a clip during the broadcast of Derek Shelton after the series sweep to Philadelphia, saying they didn't play good baseball. They didn't play good baseball in Iowa. They didn't play good baseball in Minneapolis, and that needed to change, and it did today. The Twins not only getting timely hitting early, Bailey Ober holding down the fort, but also some great plays in the field, like Kody Clemens' diving stop on a grounder in the infield in the 8th inning. We're going to talk about it all in today's Locked On Twins POSTCAST. And let's just get you caught up. Let's just go over some of the key highlights in this game. Bottom of the 1st inning, the Twins find a way to load the bases. Josh Bell leads the team in RBI, does it again. He gets a ground rule double, his 25th of the season, and scores 2 runs. Twins take a quick 2-0 lead. Royce Lewis singles on a line drive. You also have Kody Clemens driving in a run, and the Twins get a 4-0 lead early. And for Bailey Ober, he's been a pitcher this season that has enjoyed some of the most run support of any pitcher in baseball, and for him to get that early run support helped him settle into a groove. He pitches not necessarily the cleanest day overall. If you look at the line for Bailey Ober, he ends up pitching overall on the day 4 1/3 inning, gives up 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. Of course, those 2 runs were given up right at the end as a Ronald Acuna 2 RBI single made it a 4-2 ball game, and then the Twins bullpen takes it from there. Taylor Rogers, cleans up the inning, gets the final 2 outs. Travis Adams, how about him, by the way, coming in, getting 2 big innings, striking out 3, and allowing no base runners, gets through 2 clean innings. Jeff Hoffman runs into a little bit of an issue in the 8th, but dances around the raindrops, gets a strikeout, even though he had runners on the corners with 2 out, finds a way to get out of the inning. And then Yandrys Gomez has a walk, has a runner get to 3rd, and hey, looked like maybe for a second there, a game-tying 2-run homer, but Kody Clemens able to catch it just in front of the warning track, and the Twins get a 4-2 victory. Lots to talk about in this game. Again, a 4-2 Minnesota Twins victory in the Locked On Twins POSTCAST. I think overall, the place to start would just be today's game MVP, and that's got to be Kody Clemens.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
I mean, really, with Kody Clemens, he gets the RBI early, helps the Twins get a run across, and helps them build that 4-0 lead in the 1st inning. But also with Kody Clemens making that huge defensive play in the top of the 8th inning. There's a runner in scoring position, a runner on second base that is most definitely going to score if that ball up the middle bleeds into the outfield. But Kody Clemens not only gets the diving stop, not only prevents the run from being scored, but also gets out number 2 of the inning. Hoffman able to pitch around that base runner there who ended up getting on with the double. And so then not only saves the Twins a run in that situation, but also then you go to the top of the 9th inning when Gomez had a runner on 3rd base. Now, again, getting to 3rd, defensive indifference, but still, there was a runner in scoring position that would have been the tying run had Kody Clemens not prevented that run in the 8th inning. And the Twins have had pretty bad defense all year long. So to see somebody like Kody Clemens, who has been one of the lone bright spots defensively for Minnesota this year, to see him make that play, just huge. And I know it's little. I know it's just one play, and there were a whole lot of other plays that happened in the game as well. But it's those plays, the defensive things that, again, if it was a great play, like if he just would have knocked it down, I think everybody would have said, hey, great job. You didn't get the out, but at least you prevented the run from scoring and you move on. But then that fly ball that Hoffman got would have scored the runner from third. So again, these plays are not plays that you expect major leaguers to make all the time, but when they can make them, and it just is so important for this team to play good defensive baseball down the stretch. Not that they're going to be the league's best team, but can they just go from, 30th in all of baseball, oh my goodness, to 22nd, 21st, maybe even 20th, like in that spot. And just, you saw plays like that are the difference between worst and bottom 2/3, and it ends up being runs, and it ends up being a victory for the Minnesota Twins. So Kody Clemens, the game MVP. Do want to talk a little bit about the start from Bailey Ober, because Bailey Ober has enjoyed a lot of run support through most of the season. And Bailey Ober's best starts are when the Twins offense can just give him that confidence early. And you saw that today for Ober. Again, ran into a little bit of trouble late, but overall was able to get 9 whiffs on 48 swings. Mainly the changeup got a few whiffs and was able to generate 4 strikeouts, which again isn't a lot, not blowing off the page, but was able just to get those Braves hitters to get themselves out. And again, average exit velocity of 92.1. Atlanta was hitting him pretty hard, but he was able to get them to hit it hard at people. And that's how, if you're Bailey Ober, you survive. You know you're going to get hit hard. You just hope that the other team hits it hard at your defenders, and you go from there. And so for Bailey Ober, there is this thing against a team like Atlanta that just doesn't see him very often, that they're not used to Bailey Ober's arm slot. They're not used to the speed or lack thereof. And it's like when I was in high school, right? We were playing a team in a playoff game, and they threw like a freshman, like somebody who was just really young and couldn't throw very fast yet. And we could not hit him. And one of my best friends throws his helmet in the dugout and screams, "He's so slow," in frustration. And that's kind of how I feel like teams that don't see Bailey Ober very often react. They're like, how are we not hitting this guy? He throws at max 89 miles an hour. And when you're not used to it and you don't have the ability to see him over a bunch of appearances and time him up, well, that's how Bailey Ober can end up kind of sliding away with a victory, or at least with the Twins' victory here today. He didn't get 5 innings to qualify for the win, which again leads us to the biggest turning point in today's game.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Yeah, a lot of turning points in this game, and I want to say it was Kody Clemens' play, but that kind of goes into our MVP of the game. I would say the turning point would be in the very first inning. The Twins load the bases, and even when the Twins load the bases with nobody out, they did it later in the game where they got bases loaded, nobody out, and proceeded to have 2 pop-ups and a grounder to second base. So it's no guarantee that you come away with runs in that situation. And for the Twins, not only to get runs across, but to hang up a 4 spot in that first inning. It all starts with Josh Bell's 2-run double. That's the turning point in today's game. Gave the Twins the early lead, gave them the confidence, gave Bailey Ober the confidence as well, and just set things up as the day went along. And so that's where I feel like today's turning point was that Josh Bell 2-run double as well. And so with all of that, I think it just gets us into our Shelty scorecard, into what we look for with him today. And it's a mixed bag, as always, with Derek Shelton. I think the more that I learn about Derek Shelton as Twins manager, the more I appreciate the vibe shift. I appreciate keeping this team energized and keeping them in the fight, and all of that stuff is true. But that being said, there's just some weird moves to me that I don't always understand. If you agree with any moves Shelton has, if you disagree with my take or agree, let me know. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. But I think overall with Shelton, I think him finally giving Luke Keyshaw the leadoff spot. I know it's because Larnach wasn't in the lineup today, but Luke Keyshaw has deserved to hit number 1 in this Twins lineup versus a lefty, versus a righty. I don't care. I want him in that top spot, and no offense to Larnach, but he just does not hit the ball well lately. I'd much rather see Luke Keyshaw, who has a .330 batting average since July 1st. I'd rather see him in that leadoff spot, and wouldn't you know, today gets a couple at-bats, walk, ends up being a very key part in the Twins' victory today, scoring that first run of the game as well. The thing I didn't like about Shelton today, I just didn't like having Bailey Ober face off against Acuna. Runners on second and third, less than 2 outs. And you're in a spot where I know it was a 4-0 game at the time, and Shelton is trying to give his starter the benefit of the doubt, but Shelton's gotten burned off of that with Taj Bradley earlier, got burned off of that with Connor Prelip on Saturday, and got burned off it on Sunday's game with Dean Kramer, leaving the starter in too long and then having to yank him after giving up some back-breaking runs, and that nearly bit the Twins again today. Taylor Rogers was able to go in, clean up the mess, and the Twins bullpen held things down. Now, earlier in the season, I would say, look, can you blame him? The bullpen stinks. And look, not that the bullpen is perfect, not that it's a top 10 unit in baseball or top 5 unit, but it is much better than where it was at the beginning of the year. And at a certain point, you do have to trust that bullpen, especially when every win down the stretch here is so crucial. You can't let some of those slip away. And that's where, again, I know everybody ripped on Rocco Baldelli, and look, sometimes, a lot of times, there was a point, but there was a thing where in a must-win game, when that starting pitcher was in any kind of a jam, you go to the bullpen because you need to get a fresh arm in there. You play the matchups. You give yourself every advantage you can. And I understand why Shelton was trying to see if Ober could get a couple more outs, get out of the inning, get the win in the score sheet, whatever method was for why he wanted to have him in there. I understand it. But also, you got to win this game, and you let Atlanta back in the game by leaving Ober in one batter too long. I know Rogers was the only guy warming up, but get a righty warmed up as well to finish off that inning and move on and go from there. And that's really kind of my downside of Derek Shelton today as well. So a little bit of a mixed bag there. We still, by the way, have our X Factor. We also have the nerdy stat of the day and what you'll be talking about tomorrow. That's all coming up right after this. Locked On Twins today, postcast version is brought to you by Odoo. Now, when you think about it, for all of this, running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never really designed to work together. I mean, you have one app for accounting, another for inventory, another for sales, and somehow none of them talk to each other. Well, that's where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales and accounting to inventory and marketing, everything works in one place. Odoo is one platform to manage, grow, and scale your business. The best organizations know that success isn't just about talent. It's about having everyone working toward the same goal. And that's true in sports, just like it is in business. I mean, if you think about the Minnesota Twins and their development of Dean Kramer, everybody was aligned in the organization to make that happen. And one thing that really stands out is just how the Twins got everyone pulling in the same direction with the decisions they made, with the tweaks they made to Dean Kramer. It wasn't just one great player. It wasn't just one great coach. It was a coordinated effort across the entire organization that made it successful. And great organizations win because operations matter. And that's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/locked on. That's odoo.com/locked on. Locked On Twins today also brought to you by FanDuel. Baseball fans, if you know who's hitting a homer today, FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with daily dingers. It's easy to play. Just make your free pick for who you think will hit a home run in their game. And if you're right, you'll receive a profit boost to use for your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. And best of all, you can make a free pick every day throughout the MLB season. Daily Dingers is another fun way to stay engaged with every day's games, whether you're following your favorite team or keeping an eye on matchups across the league. Every game has someone capable of going deep. Now you get the chance to make your prediction before the first pitch. Let me give you a quick example here. Kyle Schwarber plus 125 to be MLB's home run champion in 2026. That's the best odds out of anybody, according to FanDuel and FanDuel's website. And sometimes it's somebody like Kyle Schwarber, who's the best odds on favorite. Sometimes it's a hitter who's been on a hot streak, a favorable pitching matchup, or even a ballpark that tends to give up home runs. Those are always the first things you can look at before making your daily dingers pick. So, are you ready to play your game today? Join all the action at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to play daily dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of the MLB. Locked On Twins today. The postcast also brought to you by Game Time. Nothing like watching a Minnesota Twins game, and it's even better when you get to watch it live. The excitement, the fans, the only problem, getting tickets can feel like a grind. Long queues, surprise fees, and oh my gosh, the price is jumping at checkout. It's where there's Game Time. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage with constant innovation. It's how you unlock amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. It's simple to use. The Game Time guarantee means you get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time at the best price. And here's the best part. Fees are included in the price you see. What you see is what you pay, period. Now, the Seats View feature is huge because I can see the panoramic view from my exact seat before I buy. You can also follow the Minnesota Twins and get alerts when new deals drop. I've seen some tickets, by the way, drop as low as $10. 2 taps and it's done. No stress, no hidden fees, just great seats and minutes. That's what makes it so easy to decide last minute to hit up a Twins game. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. All right, it's time for our nerdy stat, the fun analytic, the thing that we always want to talk about. Maybe not fun today, but we do need to start talking a little bit about Ryan Jeffers. It's been brutal for him in the month of August. Since August 1st, this has been 50-plus plate appearances now, a .250 batting average, and an OPS that is below 700. He has a weighted runs created plus of 102, so just slightly above that league average clip, which again, normally for a catcher, you'd say, okay, not great, but not bad. But for somebody like Ryan Jeffers, who's one of the best hitting catchers in baseball, to see him struggle like this has been frustrating. Now, you knew that there was a possibility because of that hamate fracture. It does affect catchers, not so much in the missing time, but just when you do get back, it is really hard to generate power for a while after that injury. And we've seen it. Jeffers has hit 0 home runs since the start of August. So there's your nerdy stat of the day. Let's just continue here by talking about the X factor of today's game.
It's time to reveal who made the biggest under-the-radar impact with today's X Factor.
Yeah, I think we got to go Travis Adams for the X factor today. Came in a couple big innings, not just because the game was 4-2 and to keep the game where it was, although that was important, struck out 3 along the way, didn't allow a base runner, but also very, very important just to pitch 2 innings and to give the team an extra inning through the bullpen, give themselves the ability to keep guys like Andrew Morris, who pitched 50-plus pitches over the last couple of games. You were not going to use him in today's game. You needed somebody to get through the 7th inning and get to Hoffman so you could get to Gomez, and he did that. And while Travis Adams still is kind of lower on that bullpen hierarchy, he has a chance to earn a role next season on this bullpen and is starting to gain the trust more and more of Derek Shelton and myself as well. Travis Adams going back to the Field of Dreams game, now going here in tonight's contest. Overall, just endearing himself to Twins territory a little bit, showcasing the potential that he's had since he's moved to the bullpen at the end of last year and then officially going into this season as well. Let's wrap things up with what we'll be talking about tomorrow.
This is what you'll be talking about.
All right, game 2 of the Twins versus Braves. Old friend Tyler Mahle on the bump tomorrow. Zebby Matthews will start for the Twins. And by the way, Tyler Mahle, a revenge game. I thought the Twins should have made a trade for Tyler Mahle when he was still with the San Francisco Giants at the trade deadline. Atlanta decided to make that move instead. And once you know it, maybe the Twins could benefit from just one more starting pitcher in this thing. But overall, if you look at the Twins right now, what you're going to be talking about tomorrow is you're going to be talking about the fact that despite how bad they've played over the last couple weeks since the start of August, they are still only a half game out of the final wild card spot. Baltimore right now, 61-64. Texas and Detroit have the same record. The Twins, 61-65 right now. Same record as the Toronto Blue Jays, and a half game in front of the Cleveland Guardians, a game and a half in front of the Seattle Mariners. Oh yeah. This American League, man, it's pretty brutal out there today. So that's again something you'll be talking about tomorrow. Also, maybe Kalen Culpepper heating up, 5-game hitting streak, I believe, 4-game hitting streak, somewhere in there, starting to all of a sudden not stack up a ton of big hits, home runs, extra base hits, but again, just multiple games of getting hits, getting in the stat sheet, starting to get more and more comfortable at the big league level. All right, that's going to wrap it up for today's Locked On Twins postcast. I want to thank you for making us your first listen. And by the way, you can follow us on YouTube and on X at Locked On Twins. And be sure to subscribe. Really helps out the channel if you can like, comment, do all that great stuff. And we'll be back here tomorrow breaking everything down for Game 2 of the Minnesota Twins versus the Atlanta Braves. See ya.